Hey guys, this is Heather from HealthyEatingStartsHere.com. So today I wanted to talk to you about avoiding gas. Now, this is a topic that I know can get a little bit giggly, but let's try to keep it serious because when you have gas, you're more embarrassed than giggly usually. So my first job was as a flight instructor, and I remember in a staff meeting one time our manager talking to us about personal hygiene because our office, as he said, it was a small two-person cockpit and very poor air ventilation. It was really important to make sure that we were cleaning ourselves properly and wearing deodorant and all that stuff. And he didn't mention gas, but I think it was implied there. So I was always very conscious of this, and at the time my diet was terrible, so I actually did have quite a bit of gas, and it wasn't very fun. So even if your office isn't that small, it's always good to be conscious of not eating things that will create a lot of gas. And more serious situations would be like if you're going on a commercial flight where you're going up to altitudes where the air pressure is changing. That's going to change the air pressure on the gas that might be trapped in your system. So if it's stuck in there and you go up to 30,000 feet, that air is going to expand and it's going to probably be a little bit painful when it expands inside your system. Along the same lines, I got a note from someone recently who wanted to know about foods that wouldn't create gas because of scuba diving. So change of air pressure there, but also the added uncomfort of gas wanting to float. And I'm not sure which direction that would take it, but either way, not very fun. So there are some general tips that I've posted for you guys over on my website at HealthyEatingStartsHere.com, and I'll post a link to the article specifically in the description box of the video, and that'll give you some general tips on how to avoid gas. But I wanted to go over some foods today, some that are the best ones to eat when you really, really want to avoid gas, and some that are pretty bad for causing gas that you might want to avoid. So the best ones would be green and non-starchy vegetables. So greens like lettuce, spinach, kale, those kinds of things. You don't want to get too much fiber because fiber will cause some gas, but in general, the green vegetables are the best. And then non-starchy are things like zucchini, cucumber, eggplant, mushrooms, those kinds of things. They tend not to cause too much gas. Now, some people react differently to them, so it's always different for different people, but in general, those should be good. Whole grains like brown rice, quinoa, rolled oats, those things are pretty good, especially if you cook them in lots of water, which helps break down the starches. And the starchy vegetables like sweet potatoes, carrots, beets, they're okay if you steam them. Even carrots, if I eat too many raw carrots on an airplane, I find it gets a little bit uncomfortable. And fruits, if you eat them on their own, they're okay. If you eat them with other foods, they do tend to cause gas, so keep your fruit to its own little snack when you want to avoid gas. Now, some of the worst foods, and I'm only going to go over foods that are pretty healthy. The unhealthy foods like processed foods, junk foods, sugars, things like that, they definitely cause gas and you should avoid them, but you should avoid them in general, so I'm not going to go over them here. If you want to learn more about healthy eating in general, you can get some info on that over at HealthyEatingStartsHere.com/success, and you'll get a bunch of emails sent to you about healthy eating. So the worst foods, number one on my list is soy milk. It is very, very gas producing, so if you're having some issues, try cutting that out first. I found a huge difference when I cut out soy milk. And then dried fruits, very concentrated in sugars, they cause a lot of gas. Nuts and seeds, which are concentrated in fat and protein, will cause some gas. Beans and legumes in general, and tofu, they all are ones that you should avoid when you really want to avoid gas. And then the raw cruciferous vegetables are notorious. Broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, those ones, you know what I mean. It can be pretty bad sometimes. And onions as well. are not the greatest. So those are my list of foods, and again, I have some general tips over on my website, and I want to hear from you guys what your tips and tricks are for avoiding gas when you just really, really need to, when there's just no option. Let me know by leaving a comment, and I will see you guys next time.